워렌 버핏과 찰리 먼거, 그들이 90대의 나이에도 부유하고 명예롭게 살아가는 이유가 무엇일까요? 그것은 바로 현명한 의사결정 능력 때문입니다. 돈을 흘러 넘칠 정도로 많이 벌었지만 소비나 과시에서 행복을 느끼는 것이 아니라 내가 잘 할 수 있는 일을 찾고 그 일을 지속해 나아갔기 때문입니다. 긍정적인 생각을 하고 주변 사람들에게 친절하고 주어진 일에 최선을 다하고 어제보다 더 나은 오늘을 살고자 하는 노력, 모두 다 현명한 의사결정이라고 볼 수 있겠죠. 이렇게 작은 의사결정들이 모여 수년 뒤, 수십 년 뒤에는 아주 큰 차이를 만들어냅니다. 현명한 의사결정 능력은 우리에게 끊임없이 큰 선물을 줍니다. 얼마 전 세상을 떠난 찰리 먼거 선생님의 삶을 보면 그의 삶 자체로도 우리에게 많은 교훈을 남겨줬지만 세상을 떠나기 얼마 전까지 인터뷰 내용들을 살펴보면 어떻게 살아가야 하는지, 어떤 사람과 가까이 해야 하는지, 신뢰를 잃는다는 게 어떤 의미인지 교훈이 담긴 이야기를 남겨주셨습니다. 투자할 대상을 찾고 단조로운 삶을 살아가는 것, 소득보다 지출을 줄이고 남은 잉여 현금으로 좋은 기업에 투자하는 것, 주변 사람에게 친절하게 대하는 것, 신뢰할 수 없는 사람과의 관계는 빠르게 정리하는 것. 오늘은 오마하의 현인 워렌 버핏 할배에게 듣는 성공에 대한 조언과 위대한 동업자 찰리 먼거 선생님의 우리가 인생을 살아갈 때와 투자를 할 때 피해야 할 실수에 대한 조언을 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 알파 컨덕터 채널 구독과 좋아요, 알림 설정하시면 최신 영상을 가장 빠르게 시청하실 수 있습니다.
Warren, how would you define true success?
Well, I've said many times that if you get to be 65 or 70 and later, and the people that you want to have love you actually do love you, you're a success. I've never seen anybody that reaches that age. I mean, I'm not talking about somebody that's in extreme poverty or pain or something, but I've never seen anybody that, if they have a lot of people that love them, that is other than happy. And I've seen some very, very wealthy people that they give testimonial dinners to and name schools after and everything. And nobody loves them, you know. Their own kids would say, he's in the attic, you know. But he never came.
What are, say, 3 pieces of advice you would give to people who are looking to succeed in business?
Well, by far the best investment you can make is in yourself. I mean, for example, communication skills. I tell the students that come that they're going to graduate schools and business, and they're learning all these complicated formulas and all that. If they just learn to communicate better, and both in writing and in person, they increase their value at least 50%. And, I mean, if you can't communicate, somebody says, you know, it's like winking at a girl in the dark. Nothing happens, you know, basically. And you have to be able to get forth your ideas, and that's relatively easy. I did it myself with the Dale Carnegie course. Some people wish I'd taken a shorter course now in terms of my talking later on, but it's just hugely important. And if you invest in yourself, nobody can take it away from you. I mean, the second thing, which I'll get a certain criticism for not living it, but I do tell those students, you know, that if I gave you a car and it'd be the only car you get in the rest of your life, you take care of it like you can't believe. Any scratch, you'd fix that moment. You read the owner's manual, you keep a garage and do all these things, and you get exactly one mind and one body in this world. And you can't start taking care of it when you're 50. By that time, you'll have rusted out if you haven't done anything. So you should really make sure that you just remember that you just got one mind and body to get through life with and to do the most with it.
What about life advice?
Well, life advice is, you know, the most important thing, aside from the things I've talked about already, is really who you associate with. You want to associate with people that are better than you are. I mean, basically, you'll go in the direction of the people that you associate with, and you want to have the right heroes. You want people, if you want to emulate somebody, you better pick very carefully who you want to emulate. And when obviously you can't pick your parents, they're going to have an enormous influence on you, but you don't get a choice on that. But you get choices as you go down the line, and who you admire, who you want to copy, and the most important for most people in terms of that decision is their spouse. It's also important in terms of a partner in business, but the partner in life is the most important one. You want to pick a spouse that's better than you are, and then he or she, and you hope they don't figure it out too fast.
Great. Biggest mistakes people make when investing?
Well, they try to, they just don't realize that all you have to do is just buy a cross-section of America and then never listen to people like me or read the papers or do anything subsequently. They think that because you can trade, you should trade. You buy a farm, you buy an apartment house, you can't resell it tomorrow, and the cost of moving around. Now you get something handed to you, liquidity, which is instant. You can sell, and the cost of doing it are pennies, compared to other kinds of investment activity. So because they can so easily move around, they do move around, and moving around is not smarter than investing.
You have a pretty cool morning routine regarding what you have for breakfast and how prosperous you feel. What is that?
Well, I now actually send somebody over to McDonald's usually to get me something. Since the publicity I got from earlier describing my habits at McDonald's, I now have somebody go in the office, but that was more for entertainment value. I actually eat exactly what I like to eat. If I liked it on my 6th birthday, at my 6th birthday party when we had hot dogs and hamburgers and Coke and ice cream with chocolate, I still like it. And I don't care about anything subsequently. I discovered it all by the time I was 6. If somebody offered me a deal when I was 20 and said, you're going to live 1 year longer, instead of living to 88, you'll live to 89 or whatever it may be, if you eat nothing but broccoli and Brussels sprouts and onions and all these things. I just said, I'll take the last year off. It probably won't be that good anyway. So I eat what I like to eat. I'm not venturesome in that area.
I like how you lumped in onions with broccoli and Brussels sprouts. I've never heard that before.
I just don't happen to like onions, but no, I don't put them in the same category.
Okay. You and George H.W. Bush, I think. Is business school worth it?
Depends on the person. Much more than it depends on the school. I mean, I wouldn't worry. Some people are going to get a lot out of advanced education, and some people are going to get very little. And I don't even think it's important that every person go to college at all. I mean, we have all kinds of jobs at 70 or so thousand a year, 80,000 a year, that college training is not of use. And I actually was not keen on going to college myself. Yeah, my dad kind of jollied me into it. He could get me to do anything. But if they'd had an SAT test in those days, he would have taken the test for me. but because I knew I could have a good time, and I liked investing, and I didn't really feel I could read the books. So I don't, it's a big commitment to take 4 years, and the cost involved, and maybe the loans involved, and everything. And I think depending on what your interests are in life, I don't think it's for everybody. I think it's for a lot of people, but there ought to be a reason you're going, and I didn't really see much reason.
Good afternoon, Mr. Buffett, Mr. Munger. My name is JC. I'm 15 years old, and I'm from Ohio. This is my 4th in-person Berkshire meeting. I have a lot of passion learning from your speeches, interviews, and articles. Thank you for sharing your wisdom all the time. Mr. Buffett, in your annual shareholder letter this year, you said that Berkshire's journey consisted of continuous savings, the power of compounding, the American tailwind, and avoidance of major mistakes. You have humbly admitted in the past that you have made many mistakes, but this is the first time that major mistakes stood out to me. Could you please advise us on what major mistakes we should avoid in both investing and in life? I would also like to have Mr. Munger's thoughts too, please. Thank you very much.
Well, Charlie said the major mistake you can make, then you're lucky if you're in the United States. If you go around the world, you don't have a lot of choices in some places. But But you should write your obituary and then try and figure out how to live up to it. That's something you get wiser on as you go along. The business mistakes, you just want to make sure you don't make any mistakes that take you out of the game or come close to taking you out of your game. You should never have a night when you're worried about investing. I mean, assuming you have any money to invest at all, and you should spend a little bit less than you earn, and you can spend a little bit more than you earn, and then you've got debt, and the chances are you'll never get out of debt. I'll make an exception in terms of a mortgage on your house, but credit card debt, we're in the credit card business big time, and the world will stay in the credit card business. But why get behind the game? And if you're effectively paying 12 or 14 or whatever percent you're paying on a credit card, you're saying I'm going to earn more than 12 or 14% on money, and if you can do that, come to Berkshire Hathaway. So it's I hate to say this when Charlie's around me, but it's straight out of Ben Franklin. I mean, and it's not that complicated, but I'll give you a couple lessons. Tom Murphy, the first time I met him, said two things to me. He said, you can always tell someone to go to hell tomorrow. Well, that was great advice then. And think of what great advice it is when you sit down at a computer and screw your life up forever by telling somebody to go to hell or something else in 30 seconds and you can't erase it. And you haven't lost the option. And he said, praise by name, criticize by category. Well, what makes more sense than that? I mean, who do you like that criticizes you all the time? And you don't need to vilify anybody to make your point on subjects of discussion. And then I'll give you another general piece of advice. I've never known anybody that was basically kind that died without friends. And I've known plenty of people with money that have died without friends, including their family. But I've never known anybody. I've seen a few people, including Tom Murphy Sr. and maybe Junior, who's here, but certainly his dad. I never saw him. I watched him for 50 years. I never saw him do an unkind act. I didn't see him do very many stupid acts either. I mean, it wasn't that he was non-discriminating. He just decided that there was no reason to do it. And wow, what a difference that makes in life. Charlie?
Well, it's so simple to spend less than you earn and invest shrewdly and avoid toxic people and toxic activities and try and keep learning all your life, et cetera, and do a lot of deferred gratification because you prefer life that way. And if you do all those things, you are almost certain to succeed. And if you don't, you're going to need a lot of luck. And you don't want to need a lot of luck. You want to go into a game where you're very likely to win without having any unusual luck.
I'd add one more thought, too. You need to know how people can manipulate other people, and then you need to resist the temptation to do it yourself.
Oh, yes. The toxic people who are trying to fool you or lie to you, who aren't reliable in meeting their commitments. The great lesson of life is get them the hell out of your life.
Yep.
And do it fast. Do it fast.
And I would add, Charlie would totally agree with me, do it tactfully if possible, too. But do get them out of your life.
Yes, I don't mind a little tact. Or even a little financial cost, but the question is getting them the hell out of the life.
Okay.
23년 버크셔 해서웨이 주주총회에서 두 분이 함께 의미 있는 조언을 해주셨는데 23년 11월 28일 찰리 먼거 선생님께서 서거하셨죠. 두 분이 함께 계시는 모습을 이제 볼 수 없다는 것이 많이 아쉽습니다. 돌아가시기 전까지 이렇게 삶에 대한 조언과 많은 인터뷰 내용을 남겨주신 것은 분명히 의미가 있다고 생각합니다. 마지막 순간까지 올곧은 정신으로 당신의 삶을 통해 깨달은 많은 것들을 누군가에게 조언해 줄 수 있는 삶이 진정한 성공이 아닐까 생각해 봅니다. 말씀 중에 가족과 친구 없이 죽은 돈 많은 사람들은 많이 봤지만 친절한 사람 중에 친구 하나 없이 죽은 사람은 보지 못했다고 하시는데요. 저도 친구가 별로 없는데 지금부터 알파 컨덕터 채널에 오는 구독자분들께는 친절하게 답글 달 수 있도록 노력해 보겠습니다. 버핏 선생님과 찰리 먼거 선생님께서 말씀하신 대로 죽는 순간 남겨질 부고장의 내용을 생각하며 삶을 살아가야겠습니다. 평생 배우려고 노력하고 계속해서 공부하고 배워나가는 삶을 실천해야겠습니다. 그리고 지금 이 순간보다 나중을 위해서 만족을 지연시키는 삶을 산다면 우리 모두 성공한 삶을 살 수 있을 것이라 믿습니다. 이번 주도 활기차게 공부해 보시죠. 다음 시간에 더 유익한 내용으로 찾아뵙겠습니다. 금융시장 초과수익 지휘자 알파 컨덕터였습니다.